And good morning, welcome to Hot Seat. We're going to spend the next couple of weeks on energy in Oklahoma. And my guest this morning, glad to have the Secretary of Energy and Environment, Ken McQueen. Mr. Secretary, good to see you.
Scott, it's good to see you.
Always glad to see you and learn about the things that are happening over at your office. And you're in the latest in a line of really respectable and people who've made some great differences in Oklahoma. McQueen, Ken Wagner, and now you're the Secretary of Energy. Before that, you were EPA, and before that, New Mexico, basically the Secretary of Energy in New Mexico, which everybody always wants me to try to get this answer out of you. When you were Secretary of Energy in New Mexico, you know where those UFOs crashed. Are you ever going to let us know where they're being kept?
Well, Scott, we did a lot of work on that. I think we've narrowed it down to Roswell, New Mexico, but we're still looking for the specific crash site.
Okay, so we need the pictures at some point. Well, it's good to see you. All right. There are a lot of things happening in energy in Oklahoma that Jerry Bonin of OK Energy today, really the only people that do this on a daily basis, but there are so many things that are happening that are good. Let's start with, people have heard about Project Halo, and a little update on what Project Halo is and why it's important to Oklahoma.
Great. Last year, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana formed a three-state consortium to pursue DOE funding. And we submitted our initial application last November. We made it into the final round. There were 33 finalists selected out of the 79 original applications submitted. We submitted our final application in April. DOE is currently scoring all of those applications. Our request was for $1.25 billion. The total funding in that package is $8 billion. The federal legislation requires DOE to select at least 4 separate hubs. They've indicated in conversations that more likely it will be 6 to 10 hubs that they select. So right now we're just sitting on pins and needles waiting for the DOE decision to come out, and we've heard that it will be out certainly this fall, but could be out as early as September.
There were task forces. A lot of work has gone into this. A lot of people say this is the energy of the future. I mean, we all know about what's happening with EVs, but what does hydrogen mean for cleaning up the environment, going net zero, and making the future bright for energy sources for here and around the world?
Well, the attraction about hydrogen is when you combust hydrogen, the emission is water. And so there's no impact to the environment from an emission standpoint when you utilize hydrogen for fuel. Hydrogen is more expensive than our current fossil fuels, so it's going to be important to make sure we utilize it in the most effective ways. When we think about the overall decarbonization efforts that's going on in the U.S., our transportation today makes up about 28% of our total GHG emissions, and the bulk of that is from heavy haul trucks. So heavy hauls, 18-wheelers, are getting a lot of attention about decarbonization, and when you talk about decarbonizing those vehicles, you really only have 2 choices. You've got batteries and you've got hydrogen. And the downside with batteries and heavy haul trucks is to get enough batteries on board to get very far down the road really adversely impacts the amount of cargo you can haul.
And highways and bridges and every other thing, correct?
Right.
We've got about 5,000 more questions, but we can't get to them today. So in other words, the future is all the above and more.
All of the above and more of the above. I think as I look at the larger energy equation, and particularly the current administration's desire to move away from coal, we've got to have more energy from some other sources. And as I look at the renewable portfolio and the challenges with it, I think we're soon going to have some serious discussions about redeployment of nuclear power to supply baseload power generation in the U.S.
Well, that's a heck of a way to end, but we better do it right there. Secretary of Energy and Environment, Ken McQueen, so much to talk about. I hope you'll come back.
We'll do that.
Come back soon.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks for watching Hot Seat. See this again at news9.com/YourVoteCounts, and follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and now Threads at Mitchell Talks.